Daniel Harris, the 29-year-old deaf man from North Carolina. His image is on your screen now. This is a really sad story of well, I'll tell you about it more. According to the local station there, a trooper tried to pull over, and they've already identified the state trooper as Jermaine Saunders. So Jermaine Saunders tried to pull over Daniel Harris, 29. He tried to pull him over for a speeding violation. Daniel did not stop. So he's deaf, but he did not pull over. But everyone is saying even though he could not hear the sirens, he should have seen the lights. Okay. It continued off of the highway, off into near his community, into his neighborhood, at which point the officer or Trooper Saunders bumped Daniel Harris in the back. And at that point, Daniel Harris stopped. The driver proceeded to get out of the car and was subsequently fired upon and killed by the police officer. Witnesses, neighbors who saw it and heard it, said there was a very minimal time between the time the trooper stopped and the time that Daniel Saunders was shot. His brother, Daniel Harris's brother, suspects that it happened because of a misunderstanding. Family members of Harris said he was hearing impaired, was unarmed, and likely did not understand the officer's commands. The police officer was wearing a body camera. Dashboard camera was also present, and all of that is under review. Both are unreleased due to the ongoing investigation. Obviously, they never released it until months later, usually. Secretary Frank L. Perry of the North Carolina Department of Public Safety said that any loss of life, regardless of the circumstances, is truly tragic and a sad event for all involved. He said that let us all refrain from making assumptions or drawing conclusions prior to the internal and independent reviews. Standard line. Sam Harris told the WSOC through the interpreter that his brother was funny and sociable. People enjoyed being around him. He was a very unique man. You know, I don't know. So this one is, I don't know, man. At some point, you've got to concede the point, the argument that our police officers in general are too jumpy in America. And that's being rather benevolent. You know, that's being very, very polite. That's not accusing them of white supremacy. That's not accusing them. Actually, Daniel is, I don't know I don't want to conclude that he's white. He very well could be anything. So, but he's not of the darker hue. So I'm not accusing the officers of white supremacy. I'm not accusing them of trying to, just being over. I'm not accusing them of anything other than at what point can we admit that we have some scared officers on the street, and it's almost unreasonable for them to be this scared when they have this much power to take life. And I'm not saying that they should never be scared, because that would be stupid and that would be irresponsible of me. But here's a man who had nothing. All he had was, one witness said that he was trying to make a gesture, a signal, i.e. sign language. And before anything happened, before the officer could probably ascertain enough information, he was shot and killed. I mean, we cannot have hundreds and thousands of terrified men and women running around with guns and a license to kill, and a system that gives them the benefit of the doubt before anything transpires. Police officers are already given the benefit of the doubt. because the benefit of the doubt is actually codified into the system so that police officers can feel free to do their job without fear of being prosecuted all of the time. So we give them leeway, a great amount of leeway that's actually written into law to protect police officers and to give them the benefit of the doubt. Even if they make a mistake, we still say, is this a reasonable mistake? Is this the type of mistake that a reasonable police officer would make? And if so, then that's their way out, because we want to make sure our police officers can be free to police. But at this point, we have police officers, I believe, in my opinion, we have police officers who are just afraid and trigger happy. Whatever their motivation is, whatever, I don't care what the reason is or what the justification is, because in a situation like this, where was there enough time to really ascertain? Yes, the police officer was probably infuriated the fact that this went on for 7 miles. But you don't know the situation. And yeah, he could have had a gun, but he didn't. And here's a man who probably knew that he needed to get close to home so that he can better communicate what was going on. I don't know what was going through Daniel's mind. All I know was that he posed a threat to nobody. And because of a miscalculation and whatever the reason, he is now dead. And it's just another hashtag that we have to, and another name that we have to add to the list. Another life that's taken, another family that's broken, futures that are stopped, cut off, and an officer who's gone on administrative leave pending an investigation. Meanwhile, the police officer from Philando Castile shooting is back at work.